many other several acts which is in the environmental law. So first one is Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Before moving into the definitions and various bodies of this legislation, we are going to see about the object of the legislation, and after the object of the legislation we will be seeing the definitions of the legislation and several certain terms as well as the punishments and the penal laws. So Wildlife Protection Act has 66 sections overall and with the 7 chapters and 6 schedules. So name itself very clear, wildlife protection. So to protect the wildlife, that should be a legislation. So according to the constitution, wildlife protection comes under the state list, but since wildlife protection is very mandatory as well as very useful for our country, the Parliament of India is enacting the law through Article 252 of the Constitution. So the very purpose of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 is to protecting, propagating, or developing wildlife and its environment. So the power is conferred on the state government as well as in the central government to proclaim the wildlife sanctuaries as well as the national parks. So we can easily understand the protection of wildlife will give the sustainable development. So we saw earlier about everything in the environment. So each and everything is essential in the environment. Man, animal, plants, and as well as the each and every particles, tiny particles, is a very essential in the environment. So we have to take care of the environment by means giving importance to the each and every tiny particles in the environment. So wildlife protection is one of the very biggest process in a legislation. So for that purpose, Wildlife Protection Act 1972 serves as to protect as well as propagating and developing the wildlife. So before moving into the definitions, for the certain terms, we are into the definitions of wildlife is defined include any animals, bees, butterflies, fish, moths, and aquatic or land vegetation which from part of any habitat. So not only the animals, but also it includes fish, bees, butterflies, and land vegetation, as well as any kind of trees, plants, varieties, and everything comes under the purview of the wildlife. So wildlife is nothing but it may be a forest or it may be in any kind of social purposes. So animal is defined to include amphibians, birds, mammals, and reptiles and their young, and also includes the cases of birds, reptiles, their eggs. So very first thing and first and very foremost thing we have to know about the wildlife is what is wildlife and how to protect it. So in India, each and every legislation has its own object, and this Wildlife Protection Act has its own object. The object is very particular to protect the wildlife and to increase the status of the wildlife as well as the nature of the wildlife. So now we are going to see about the certain terms which is very unique. Captive animals. What is meant by captive animals? The animals which comes under the purview of the Schedule 1 to 4 in a Wildlife Protection Act 1972 is a captive animal. So before moving into the proper definition, we have to differentiate what is meant by captive animals as well as what is meant by vermin, trophy, and uncured trophy. I'm going to give the literal definition, which is not in a legislation. Captive animals is nothing but the animals which is caged or animals which is very essential and very rare species which found in the forest alone, which comes under the schedule 1 to 4. And vermin means is nothing but the animal specified in a schedule 5, like common crows, fruit bats, mice or rats. It's nothing but vermin is the animal which is endangerous, which is dangerous to the agriculture or any kind of farmings. So which comes under the purview of vermin. Crows, fruit bats, and mice and rats. These are all the decomposers. So the crow is a very big decomposer in the world. So vermin means any animal, any wild animal specified in Schedule 5. So captive animal as well as a vermin. Now we are going to see about the trophy. Trophy is nothing but we would have seen a lot of movies like rhinoceros, the horn of the rhinoceros or a horn of the deer. So like these kind of things are having as a showcase in a house for the purpose of proving their hunting skills. So such kind of things are comes under the purview of the trophy. And uncured trophy means the whole or any part of the captive animals or wild animals other than a vermin. So these are all the uncured trophies. So captive animals, schedule 1 to 4, and vermin, which is a schedule 5, and trophy means to proving the hunting skill after the hunting. If the people are secured any kind of article from the animals, which comes under the purview of the trophy. Uncured trophy is other than a vermin, other than a captive animals. If any kind of trophies is secured by the any person after the hunting, that comes under the purview of uncured trophy. So now we are going to see about by hunting. So we will know hunting is a process from the Stone Age by using of sharp-edged knives or sharp-edged any kind of materials which kill the animal. And we know very clear, man, animal, plants. It is a cyclic process. Ecology. We are depends. Everyone is depends on others. So where in ancient times, in Stone Age, the people used to the Homo sapiens at the time of formation of the Homo sapiens and the Homo erectus. The peoples used to kill the animals and they make it as a food. And when the animals threatens the man used to kill the animals. So likewise, the hunting process started in a Stone Age. So now, after the increasing in a brain capacity, after the man turns into the after the Homo erectus turns into the Homo sapiens, and which means a man, human, they started using the knowledge. At the time, the legislation, there will be a legislations. So by that means, now we are studying this Wildlife Protection Act. So in that Wildlife Protection Act, it is very purpose and it is very essential to know about the term hunting. What is mean by hunting? Only if we are knowing about the process of hunting and meaning and definition of the hunting, we will be knowing about the how to protect the wildlife, how to protect the animals, wild animals or domestic animals or any other animals from the process of hunting. The very first, capturing, killing, poisoning, snaring, and trapping or any wild animal, and every attempt to do so. So this is the very first clause. What is mean by hunting? Very famous case, Salman Khan case. We know about the Salman Khan hunted the deer and he is imprisoned. Later he came out of the bail. So now, for the purpose of a hunting, we should know the definition of the hunting. In clause A, capturing, killing, poisoning, snaring, and trapping, or any wild animals, and every attempt to do so. So, if we are capturing the animal and if you are killing the animal, the intention of killing the animal and giving the poison to the animal, it comes under the purview of the hunting. And second clause is driving any animal for any of the purposes specified in subclause A, which means we are saying the same statement in a different note. Driving any wild animal for any of the purposes specified in subclause A. If intentionally, if any person is driving the animal to capture, to kill, to poison, to snaring or trapping any wild animal, and every attempt to do so, which also comes under the purview of the hunting. And third clause, injuring or destroying or taking any part of the body of such animal, or in the case of wild birds or reptiles, damaging the eggs of such birds or reptiles, or disturbing the eggs or nests of such birds or reptiles. Not only the living animal, not only capturing, killing, and poisoning the living animal, but also the eggs of the damaging the eggs of the such birds, or damaging the reptiles of the birds, or reptiles of the eggs, disturbing the eggs, or disturbing the birds which resides in the nest, or destroying or taking any part of the body of any such animal also comes under the purview of hunting. Not only the killing or capturing or poisoning the animal is comes under the purview of hunting, but also in a cruel intention, in a guilty intention, if any person is damaging the egg or damaging the nest or disturbing the egg, it also comes under the purview of the hunting. And clause D is livestock includes buffaloes, bulls, bullocks, camels, cows, donkeys, goats, horses, mules, pigs, sheep, yaks, and also includes their young, which means it is very essential to know. These are all the things which we are seeing in a day-to-day life. So we are seeing the buffaloes, bullock carts, and camels, and cows, and donkeys, and goats. We are using as a domestic animals, and we are giving a lot of works to the animals. We are employing the animals for our own purpose, which also comes under the purview of the hunting. So this is the object of the Wildlife Protection Act. And now we are going to see about the authorities comes under this legislation. So we know very well, authorities means the central government, state government, as well as the body which constituted to take care of the wildlife protection, as well as to take care of any other purpose, and to take care of the any other process to protect the wildlife. So there should be a body. There are two bodies. One is the central government and the state government. For the purpose of the state government, very first person is a director of wildlife preservation, and second one assistant directors of wildlife preservation, and third one is such other officers and employees as may be necessary. So for the purpose of the central government, it is very clear there will be a director of wildlife preservation, and second one is assistant director for wildlife preservation, and third one is any other officer to be appointed as an employee as may be necessary. And the second body is the state government. So in central government, it is called as a director of the wildlife preservation, whereas in the state government, it is called as a chief wildlife warden. So first and foremost person is chief wildlife warden, and second one is wildlife wardens, the chief, and next one is the wardens, and third one is one honorary wildlife warden in each district. Honorary wildlife warden in each district, which means for example, we have a zoo in Vandalur, so there will be an officer for the zoo authority, and there will be officers for each and every district to protect the wildlife. For that, there will be one chief in a state. He is called as a chief wildlife warden, and after that, any other officers or employees to be appointed by the state government if they think it is a deemed fit and necessary for the wildlife protection. So now we are moving to the next slide. Other than two essential board, wildlife protection in a central government, wildlife protection in a state government, there is a ministry which is called as a Wildlife Advisory Board, which consists of a committee which consists of a minister in charge of forest in a state as well as in a union territory. So he will be a chairman. So this is not comes under the purview of the central government and the state government. This comes under the purview of the exclusive department to protect the wildlife. It is not a body to implement the law, but it is an advisory board. To constitute the advisory board, the committee has the ministry in charge of forest in the state or union territory, which the person will be a chairman. And next one is two member of the state legislature, which means he may be a state legislature or he may be the legislature of the union territory. He should be a one member. So there should be a two members from the state legislature or from the union territory legislature. And third one is secretary to the state government or for the government of the union territory in charge of the forest. And next one is the forest officer in charge of the state forest department. And next one is the officer to be nominated by the director of wildlife preservation. Next one is chief wildlife warden, officers of the state government non exceeding 5. Such other persons not exceeding 10 who is in opinion of state government are interested in the protection of the wildlife, including the representative of tribals not exceeding 3. So now we are saying about the wildlife protection. The object of the Wildlife Protection Act is a legislation. Object of this act is to protect the wildlife. And next one is there should be authorities for the wildlife, and the authorities is state authority and central authority and advisory board for the wildlife. So these are all the three authorities, and whereas the implementation authorities are the execution part by the central government as well as the state government. And third one is the advisory board for the central government as well as the state government, and it has the committee. Next one is the advisory board. How to constitute the advisory board and what is the purpose of the advisory board? In the selection of areas to be declared as a national parks and closed areas and the administration thereof, which means this advisory board will advise the state government to find which is the area to be constituted or to be built a national park or any other sanctuaries. And next one is in formulation of policy for protection and conservation of wildlife and specified plans. So next advice, what all the we are saying about the advices from the advisory board to protection of wildlife. The first one is the advisory board will give the proper advice to constitute or to build national parks in a state. And next one is the formulation of policy of protection and conservation of wildlife. What are the policies to be formulated to protect the wildlife? These are all the one essential thing to be advised by the wildlife advisory board. And next one is in any matter relating to the amendment of any schedule. Schedule is nothing but the schedule 1 to 5. We have seen about it in an earlier stage. Schedule 1 to 5, which means that it will consist of the definition of the captive animals, and which are all the animals comes under the purview of the wild animal, which means a captive animal, which comes under the purview of the vermin, or which comes under the purview of the trophy and uncured trophy. These are all the things which comes under in a schedule from 1 to 5. Is there is any essential or is there is any kind of changes has to be made by the state or central government, this advisory board will give the advice to the such kind of governments. And next one is in relation to the measure to be taken for harmonizing the needs of the tribals and other dwellers of the forest with the protection and conservation of wildlife. We are now entering into the one new topic, tribals. When we are talking about the wildlife protection, it is essential to talk about the animals. At the same time, we have to deal with the tribals also, because a tribals is the person which depends on the wildlife. So when we are talking about the wildlife protection, it is very vital to talk about the tribals also. So now this advisory board will give advice to the state as well as the central government to take care of the needs of the tribals. They have some kind of exceptions. If it is a reserved forest or if it is a reserved wildlife protection sanctuaries or a national parks, there will be a exception to the tribals, because the tribals are depend on forest as well as the wildlife. So this advisory board will give advices to the state as well as the central government to proclaim or to take necessary actions to take care of the rights of the tribals also. Next one, in any other matter connected with the protection of wildlife which may be referred to it by the state government. So is there is any essential element other than the subclauses? The advisory board can advise the state government to take any kind of necessary actions. So now we are going to see about the penal law. So legislation, the first one is the object, next one is the definition, another one is the authorities under the legislation and powers and functions of such authorities, as well as the final one is the penal law. So what can be done if the person is hunting the animal? The very first thing is, according to the section 9 of Wildlife Protection Act 1972, if any person who hunts any animal shall be subjected to the imprisonment of 5 years, not extend to the 5 years, which fine may be extended to the 25,000 or both. Any person who hunts any wild animal shall be punishable with imprisonment for term which may be extended to 3 years, or which fine may extend to the 25,000 if. So under Schedule 1, under Schedule 1 of this Wildlife Protection Act 1972, if any person, according to the section 9, if any person is hunting the animal as per the section given in the legislation, he is subjected to the imprisonment may extend to 3 years, or the fine may be at 25,000. This is the one kind of punishment. And next one is, if any person is hunting an animal which comes under the purview of the Schedule 1, shall be punishable with imprisonment which shall not be less than 1 year but may extend to 6 years, and also with fine which shall not be less than 5,000. So the thing is, they are instigating, they are giving a very importance to the wildlife protection, as well as they are giving the definition for the hunting, as well as they are giving the penal laws, which means the punishment for the hunting. These are all the punishments, and fine. As we know very clear, in IPC, we have a general exceptions. Likewise, in this act also, there is some kind of general exceptions for the purpose of the hunting. Very first exception is, the chief wildlife warden may permit hunting of wildlife, which means the wild animals, in certain cases. If the chief wildlife warden giving permissions to the following purpose, then the hunting will come under the purview of the exception, and they will not be put into the bars, which means the action will be a exception. The first one is, if he is satisfied that if any wild animal specified in Schedule 1 has become dangerous to human life, or is so disabled or deceased so as to be beyond recovery. If any animal comes under the purview of the Schedule 1, whatever it is, whether it is a wild animal or it is the captive animals, or whether it is any kind of animals which comes under the purview of the Schedule 1 to 4, then such animal, if creates any kind of threat to the society or to the human being, then with the permission of the chief wildlife warden, we can hunt the animal. For example, recently in Kerala, one elephant killed the owner. At the time, with the permission of the wildlife warden, they hunted the animal. That animal can be hunted because it creates a threat to the society. It may create threat to the society or to any man which is life threatened. So at the time, the warden can give permission to the any authority which comes under the purview of this Wildlife Protection Act. They can hunt the animals, the very first thing. And second is, if he satisfied that any wild animal specified in Schedule 2, 3 or 4 has become dangerous to any human life or to property. For example, elephant entering into the agricultural land and spoiling the crops. We would have seen about the lot of news. We came across with the lot of news like near in Theni, Perikulam, or near to that Nilgiri. A lot of estates destroyed by the elephants. So at that time, they will make a representation to the wildlife protection officers, and they will take necessary actions against the such kind of act by the wildlife animal. So at that time, if any animal comes under the purview of the Schedule 2, 3 or 4, destroys the agricultural land or destroys the any kind of lands made by the human being, that animal can be hunted with the permission of the wildlife warden. And third one is for the experiment, hunting of animals for the experiments. For example, the animal may fall into the well, or the animal may fall sick, or animal may find contagious and spreading the disease to the various animals. Or if the purpose of the education, it is necessary to know about the animals. For example, testing animals, or testing rats or lab rats. So such kind of things and all comes under the exception. So for the purpose of education, for the purpose of scientific research, a scientific management, animal to an alternative, suitable habitat or population, management of wildlife without killing or poisoning or destroying any wild animals. Collection of specimens. For example, rarest species. For example, in India, the tigers. So they are securing the such kind of species because it is very essential for the ecosystem. So they will cage them, cage the animals. They will hunt the animals and they will protect the animals because that comes under the purview of the rarest of rare species. So such kind of such kind of things will not come under the purview of the hunting because it comes under the purview of exceptions. So now we will be seeing about the various exceptions. One is for the purpose of education, scientific research, scientific management, collection of specimens, derivations, collection or preparation of snake venom. For example, the snake is also comes under the purview of the dangerous species and Schedule 1 to 4, but it also comes under the purview of the venom of the snake will comes under the purview of the scientific medicinal purpose. Scientific purpose also medicinal purpose. So when the collection of venom will not come under the purview of the hunting. According to Section 17A of Wildlife Protection Act, prohibits picking, uprooting the plants or any kind of trees from the wildlife. Not only so, we saw earlier, not only the animals, not only the plants, or not only the birds or butterflies or any kind of vertebrates and fishes will not come under the wildlife protection, but also it includes the wildlife is also includes the plants, trees, as well as various soils and various tiny particles also. So now, according to the Section 17A of Wildlife Protection Act, prohibits picking, uprooting, and specified plants. So no person shall willfully pick, uproot, damage, destroy, acquire or collect any specified plants from any forest land or any area specified by notification by the central government. Possess, sell, offer for sale, or transfer by way of gift or otherwise, or transport any specified plant, whether alive or dead, or part or derivative thereof. Which means if any person is willfully making the deforestation inside the wildlife, then it comes under the purview of an offense. So that should be a proper permission we have to get from the wildlife warden. So no person can possess or sell, offer for a sale or transfer by way of a gift or otherwise, or transport any specified plants to one place to the another place, which comes under the purview of non-forest purpose. So that will be in Forest Conservation Act. We will be seeing about the forest purpose and the non-forest purpose. The forest purpose is nothing but the using of the forest for the purpose which the forest exists. If we are going to disturb the purpose of the forest, then it will come under the purview of the non-forest purpose, which is an offense. So that is what they are mentioning in Section 17A of Wildlife Protection Act. If uprooting the plant or uprooting the trees willfully or damage or destroy the forest, then it comes under the purview of the offense under Section 17A of Wildlife Protection Act. So the chief wildlife warden may, with the previous permission of the state government, may permit the person to pick, uproot, acquire, or collect any specified plant from forest land or from a specified area for the purpose of education, scientific research, collection, preservation, and display in a herbarium of any scientific institution, or propagation by a person or any institution approved by the central government in this regard. So in school days, we would have see about the biology lab. So we will be seeing many kind of algae, fungi, and as well as rats, as well as a snake or something like that. So these are all comes under the purview of the exception, which will not prohibited by the Section 17A, because it is for the purpose of the education and it is for the purpose of the research. It is permissible according to the Section 17A of Wildlife Protection Act. So as we saw earlier, every legislation has penalized sections, and the penalized section will be having exceptions. So such kind of exceptions only this education, scientific research, or collection and preservation will comes under. So any person who wish to commence or carry on business or occupation as a dealer, in a specified plant or part or derivative thereof shall do so only in accordance with the license granted by the chief wildlife warden or any other officer authorized by the state government. Which means if any person want to procure, or if any person want to deal with the specified plants, then he has to, or the person has to acquire the license. He has to get the license for the such kind of trade and commerce of the such kind of specified plant varieties according to the Wildlife Protection Act, Section 17G. So no person shall purchase, receive, or acquire any specified plant or part or derivative thereof other than from a licensed dealer. From the licensed dealer, the person cannot acquire if the person is not permitted to acquire the specified plant varieties according to the Wildlife Protection Act. So any person who violates this, he will be imprisoned for the 3 years with the fine of 25,000. Now we are going to see about the sanctuaries, national parks, and closed areas. So we know sanctuaries and we know the national parks as well as a zoo. In Wonderla Zoo, they have so much of various endangered species as well as the rarest of rare species. What is the purpose of protecting such kind of species? It's very clear. It is to have the ecological balance. There should be a balance in environment. Only if we are going to secure the such kind of rarest of rare species, the environment will be safe and secure. So for that purpose, there should be a sanctuary, there should be a national parks, and there should be a closed areas to protect the wildlife. Closed areas is nothing but the area which comes under the purview of the reserved forest. First one is the state government may by notification declare to intend to constitute any area other than an area comprised with any reserve forest or territorial waters as sanctuary. So we know very clear. In second unit, we have seen about the water bodies. So if the government is using any other purpose, if the area is named as a water body, the government cannot use the area other than a water body's purpose. So it comes under the purview of purview of exception in the Wildlife Protection Act. If any water bodies or reserved forest is sanctioned by the state government, the government cannot use the water bodies as the sanctuaries or national parks. But according to the section 27, the state government can make sanctuaries and national parks by way of issuing a notification. So when there is a adequate ecological faunal, which means fauna and flora and geomorphological, natural or zoological significance for the purpose of protecting, propagating or developing the wildlife or its environment. So we saw earlier, when the environment is stable, it is very essential to take care of each and every tiny particles. So for that purpose, sanctuaries and national parks and closed areas can be made by the state government as well as the central government for the ecological balance. When the notification has been issued under section 18 of the wildlife protection, the collector shall inquire into and determine the existence, nature and extent of the rights of any person in or over the land comprised with the limits of the sanctuary. Which means if once the state government made a notification in certain area, that area will comes under the purview of the sanctuaries or national parks, then they cannot use it for the other purpose. After the notification, the collector will inquire about the capability and capacity of the land to become a sanctuary and a national park. Then section 27 prescribes the restriction on entry in sanctuary, and section 27 permits the entry of following persons in the sanctuary. So who can enter into the sanctuary is first one is the public servant on duty, the person who has been permitted by the chief wildlife warden or authorized officer to reside within the limits of the sanctuary. Next one is a person who has right over immovable property within the limits of the sanctuary, a person passing through the sanctuary along a public highway, and depends of the person referred to above. Which means any person can enter, but the person should have the right over the property, immovable property within the limits of the sanctuary, the very first one. And next one is if any kind of public officers for the government duty can enter into the sanctuary. And next one is any person, any public can cross the sanctuary or cross the wildlife reserved forest if he is going in a highway. Which means sanctuary may also have a highway. At the time, if the person is crossing, they can cross the highway. For example, if you are going to the Kodaikanal or Ooty, the all forests we are crossing, it comes under the purview of the reserved forest. So for the purpose of reaching the destiny, we have to cross the such kind of reserved forest. So at that time, we have the rights to travel towards the destiny by crossing the forest, which means the reserved forest, which comes under the purview of the sanctuary or national parks or closed areas. The next one is every person residing in the sanctuary shall be bound to prevent the commission of any offense under the Wildlife Protection Act in the sanctuary, to help in discovering and arresting the offender, and to report the death of any animal, and to prevent the commission of any offense under Wildlife Protection Act in the sanctuary, to help in discovering and arresting the offender, to report the death of any wild animal, and to safeguard its remains until the chief wildlife warden or authorized officer takes charge thereof. And next one is to extinguish any fire which in such sanctuary, and to prevent the fire from spreading. To assist any forest officer, chief wildlife warden or police officer preventing the commission of any offense against the Wildlife Protection Act or in the investigation of any such offense. So now we are going to see about the national parks. The state government, for the purpose of protecting or propagating or developing the wildlife, may by notification declare that any area by reason for its ecological or fauna or flora, geomorphological or geological association or importance needed to be constituted a national park. Then the state government and central government have the power to constitute a national park as per the notification. So that is a prohibition. The certain acts is prohibited inside the national park. First one is destroying, exploiting, or removing of any wildlife, destroying, damaging the habitat of any wild animal, deprive any wild animal of its habitat, grazing of any livestock. So these are all the things which is prohibited inside the national park. According to the section 28, the chief wildlife warden may, on application, grant to any person the permit to enter or reside in a sanctuary or any of the following purpose: for the investigation or for the study of the wildlife. Second one is for the purpose of photography, for the purpose of scientific research, or for the purpose of the tourism, or for the purpose of the transaction of lawful businesses. He can allow the person to reside inside the national park. And next one is a zoo, and it comes under the purview of the zoo authority. The zoo authority has a chairperson, members which not exceeding 10, and a member secretary. So the purpose of zoo is specify the minimum standard for housing, upkeep, and veterinary care of animals kept in a zoo, evaluate and assess the functioning of zoo, and recognize and de-recognize the zoos, the identify endangered species of wild animals for the purpose of captive breeding, and assigning responsibility in this regard to a zoo, and coordinate an acquisition, exchange, and loaning of animals for breeding purpose, ensure maintenance of study books of endangered species of animals bred in a captivity, identify the priorities and themes with regard to the display of captive animals in a zoo, and to coordinate with the training of zoo personnel in India and outside the India for the purpose of protection of the rarest of rare species in a zoos, coordinate research in captive breeding and educational program for the purpose of zoos, provide technical and other assistance to zoos for their proper management and development on scientific lines. So these are all the essential elements and the purpose of organizing the zoos. According to the Wildlife Protection Act section 38, no zoo shall be operated without being recognized by the central zoo authority. So it means no person, the individual person cannot hold the zoo. So it should be very clear. There should be a government authorities should be take over the charge of zoos. Any person who violates section 38 shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may be extended to 6 months, or with the fine which may extend to 2,000, or with both. In the case of second offense, it may be 1 year imprisonment and 5,000 rupees fine. So trading of commerce in wildlife animal as well as the articles which secured from the hunting of animals, which comes under the purview of the offense under section 39 of World Wildlife Protection Act. First one is animal article. Animal article is nothing but it is comes under the purview of the extraction of animals after the hunting. And next one is a trophy and uncured trophy. We know trophy means the article which extracted from the animal after the hunting. For example, horns or for example, skin of the animal. So such kind of things comes under the purview of the trophy and uncured trophy. And next one is a meat derived from the wildlife. For example, meat of the deer, which comes under the purview of the uh, non-eatable things, but still the people are having it. So it comes under the purview of offense under section 39 of the Wildlife Protection Act. Ivory imported to the India, articles made from the such ivory. So next one is using of vehicles or any kind of trap or tools to hunt the animal and to do the any kind of trade and commerce is an offense. Section 44 of Wildlife Protection Act prohibits dealing the trophy and animal article without license. So we know earlier, so for entering into the sanctuary, there should be a license. For the purpose of the research, there should be a license. For the purpose of hunting, there should be a license. Without license, the person cannot do anything. So for the purpose of manufacturing or of the dealer in any animal article or taxidermist or dealer in trophy or uncured trophy or dealer in captive animals or dealer in a meat should have a license. The next one is the prevention and detection of the offenses. According to section 50, the authority can issue a warrant. They can enforce the attendance of witnesses, and they can compel the discovery and production of documents and material objects which is recovered or seized from the person one who committed the offense. The receive and record evidence is also comes under the purview of the power of the administration. And next one is the administrative for the protection of wildlife. Establishment of protected areas and habitat restoration, manage protected areas and habitat restoration, wildlife protection in multiple use areas, rehabilitation of endangered and threatened species, captive breeding program, wildlife education and interpretation, research and monitoring, domestic legislation and international conventions, national conservation strategy, and collaboration with voluntary bodies. So these are all the things which has to be considered, which has to be taken care of by the Wildlife Protection Act. So Project Tiger and Project Elephant are the recent projects taken over by the government of India to protect the tigers, the life of the tigers, as well as the life of the elephants for the purpose of the environmental balance. Okay, with this, the Wildlife Protection Act is ended. Thank you.